guys, something a little different tonight. I've got a story to tell you, and it's pretty terrifying, pretty scary. And so I know that some of you may not be able to handle it till the end, and that's all right. It's all right to admit that you can't handle scary things, but I hope you can. It's important that you hear it, but it is scary. This is a story that took place a long time ago, several years ago, when there was traveling salesmen. There was a gentleman. We don't see him much anymore. There used to be guys who would travel around selling encyclopedias and vacuum cleaners and different things like that. And this is a story of one of those men and a terrifying experience that he faced. And so he was traveling around from town to town, selling whatever it was. It's not important to this story, but he was traveling between a couple towns, a couple big cities, and he started getting pretty tired. And he came across a little roadside motel. Now this wasn't a hotel; it was a motel. There's a big difference between hotels and motels. If you don't, go look up Tim Hawkins' motels video, and he explains it. But anyways, this little rundown little place, and open sign on the office, vacancy, and so he goes in looking for a room, and it's a decision that it's going to haunt him. He would have been better off just sleeping in his car alongside the road. But anyways, he goes in and rings the bell at the desk, and the manager comes out. And he asks the manager, is there a room available? I just need a room for a couple hours. I just need to get some sleep, and so I can be on my way. The manager's like, yeah, we don't have any rooms available. The guy's like, nothing? I mean, I just need something for a couple hours. And the manager kind of hesitates. And then he's like, well, I've got one room, but we don't usually let anybody stay there. And the guy's like, I just need a place. I'll pay double whatever it costs. Double what it costs. I'll pay it. And the manager's, it kind of eyes light up. I mean, that's, extra money. And he's like, well, like I said, we usually don't do this, but one condition, I'll let you use the room. I'll rent you the room for the night. He says, whatever you do, don't look in the closet. The guy's like, well, I don't need to look in the closet. I'm going in there. I just need a couple hours to sleep, and then I'm on my way. So fine, I won't look in the closet. And so the manager rents him the room, warns him again, whatever you do, don't look in the closet. And so the gentleman goes down to the room and goes in and just kind of crashes on the bed, lays there, and tries to go to sleep. But you know how it is. I mean, curiosity starts getting the best of you. And so he starts thinking about what the man said. Why can't I look in the closet? What's the big deal? And he's like, I just go to sleep. And so he tries to go to sleep, and it doesn't work. And he gets up and he goes over to the closet and he grabs the handle, and he's, no, I don't. I said not to look. I'm not going to look. And goes and lays back down there for a couple minutes, and it's just getting too much of him. So he goes to the closet and he opens it, and the closet is completely empty. There's nothing in the closet. There's not a shelf, not any hangers, nothing in the shelf or in the closet. But in the corner on the bottom, there's this little pink puffball about the size of a marble. It's the only thing in the entire closet. He's like, what? What's the big deal about not looking in the closet? So he shuts the closet, goes and lays down, and tries to go to sleep, and it doesn't work. And so he's like, man, I've got to, what is that? Why was I told not to look in the closet when the only thing in there is that? And so he goes back and he looks in there, opens it back up, and there's that little pink puffball. Only thing in. He looks up at the top, nothing. Nothing else in that entire closet except that little pink puffball. And so he gets down on his knees and he kind of tries to get a little closer look at it, and doesn't seem anything strange, just a little puffball. And so he reaches out and just to see what it feels like, he touches it. And all of a sudden it turns around and there's two eyes staring at him. Two tiny little eyes staring at him. And he jumps back. And the little pink puffball starts coming for him. Coming towards him. And he freaks out. And he jumps back, flings the door open and takes off. Leaves his suitcase, leaves everything there that he had brought in, and takes off. Runs for his car. Thankfully, still had his keys in his pocket. He hadn't even gotten into pajamas or anything. Flies to the car, gets in, starts it, and takes off. And he's like, whew, that was close. And so kind of thinks, and so he stops. And as he hits his brake lights, he sees this thing coming towards him. And it's the puffball, but it's gotten a little bigger now. And it's about the size of a golf ball now. It's getting, and so he really freaks out. Doesn't know how he sees it, but he sees it coming down the road behind him. So he just takes off. He floors it. And it just goes and goes and goes. But he soon realizes that one of the reasons that he had stopped at this motel was because he needed gas, and he knew he wouldn't be able to find any place open that time of night. And so he's going and he's going. And all of a sudden the motor starts to sputter. And eventually dies because he runs out of gas. And he looks back, and there's that pink puffball. It's about the size of a tennis ball now. So it's getting bigger. And he's like freaking out, and those eyes are just still watching him, these bright white eyes and this pink puffball. These white eyes are just watching him, following him. And so he gets out and he takes off, just starts running. And just as fast as he can. Until he's just exhausted, and he looks back, and there's that pink puffball. Gotten a little bigger. Now it's about the size, a little bit bigger, about the size of a softball. And he's really freaking out now. And so, he's just exhausted, and he sees a house in the distance, and he's just trying to crawl, and he gets back up, and he's able to run a little bit more. And then sitting in that driveway, that house is a bicycle, a kid's bike, and he hops on that, and still legs are just burning from the running, but he finds enough in him to just start riding, and he keeps looking back over his shoulder, and that pink puffball with those bright white eyes are just watching him and continuing to follow him, and it's gotten a little bigger now. And so he just keeps going, and he keeps going and keeps going, and he looks back, and it's the size of a bowling ball now. And he's just freaking out, not trying to figure out what this thing is, what it's going to do if it catches him, and it just motivates him, and he just keeps going, and he keeps going, and he glances, and there's a motorbike in another driveway, and he hopes that he can get it started, and he kickstarts it and takes off on it, and he's figuring, okay, I've got this thing beat now, I can outrun it. And he looks back, and the thing's still the same distance behind him. It's the size of a basketball now. Beady eyes still watching him, still following him, still just coming after him. And he's just freaking out. And he just goes and he goes. And eventually the bike runs out of gas. And he's like, come on. And he looks back, and there's the thing closing in on him as he sits there, tries to get the bike started, and realizing it's not going to happen. And so he's just terrified now. And he just gets off, and, been riding for a while. His legs got a little energy in him, and he just starts going. And this road that he's on, there was turns and stuff like that, but he never took them. He just kept going on this road. Missed the sign that said dead end, and comes to a dead end, and there's a field, and he starts going across the field, and gets across the field, and there's a lake, huge lake. There, as far as he can see to his left and to his right is lake. He's like, man, I can't get around this thing. He's exhausted, and looks back, and coming through the grass, there's the pink puffball, even bigger now, bigger than a basketball now, just continuing to follow him. And so he starts running along the lake, and he comes across a boat sitting up on the shore, wooden boat, pretty rough shape. But he gets in. There's an oar laying there on the ground. He grabs the oar, gets in the boat, and just starts paddling, thinking this. Obviously, there's no way this little pink puffball is going to be able to swim. Even though it wasn't so little now, it had gotten much bigger. But he just goes, and he starts paddling, and realizes that his feet were getting wet, and this boat is taking on water. And he's like, I just got to get across this lake. And he keeps going, and he keeps going. He's halfway across the lake, and it's starting to take on quite a bit of water. And he looks back, and there it is. It's still coming. It's getting bigger, and it's just still coming right across the top of the water. He doesn't know how it's happening. He doesn't know what this thing is, but he's terrified. And it just keeps coming and coming, and he just keeps paddling. He's paddling as hard as he can. But it's getting harder the more water he takes on, and he just keeps going until the boat's just it's sinking. This little boat he's on, and so he swims. He's getting closer to shore, and he just starts swimming, and he finally gets to shore, and he looks back, and the thing's closing on him. I mean, it's getting closer to him, and he gets up, and he tries to run, and he can't run. And he's just fighting it, and he's crawling on his hands and knees, trying to get away through rocks and gravel, and his knees are getting tore up, but he's scared to death. He knows that this thing's going to get him. He doesn't know what it's going to do. Is it going to eat him? Is it going to kill him? What is this horrifying thing going to do that's chasing him? I mean, and it's getting bigger now. It's about half his size. And so he keeps going. His knees are scraped up. His hands are scraped up. I mean, and he tries to get up and run, and he can't, and he falls. And he tries to get up again and runs, and it falls again. And he's got nothing left in him, and he's crawling, belly crawling through the gravel. And this thing's closing in on him, and it's huge now. It's bigger than him. And he doesn't know what to do. He's trying to get away. He can't, and he just has nothing left in him, and nothing. He can't go anymore, and he turns over as this thing closes in on him, and it's getting closer and closer, and it's just towering over him. This huge pink puffball with these white eyes just staring at him. He can't see, there's no mouth, no nose. He doesn't know what it is. Just these eyes on a pink, huge puffball. And it's closing in on him. And it's getting closer. And it's getting closer. And he's shaking with fear. And he covers his eyes and covers his face as the thing gets closer. And all of a sudden a hand reaches out and says, Tag, you're it.